So, ich hoffe, es klappt jetzt, da.
Our new first officer is en route to the Resolute. Jara Rydek. I know she'll bring a welcome dose of new blood to the crew.
Thanks.
No problem.
I'm not great with flying. But these little shuttles are the worst.
Stick around in Starfleet and you'll be sure to see worse than this. I have.
And you're here to talk about it.
In the flesh.
That's good. Sorry, I'm a little anxious.
I hadn't noticed.
I'm on my way to my first assignment. When we get to the starbase, I'm transferring on to the Resolute.
So am I.
It won't be easy for Jara to step in at the 11th hour like this. But if she's half the officer I knew she could become when she was a cadet at Starfleet Academy, she'll be the XO this ship needs right now.
Ja, der Gene Roddenberry ist leider auch schon verstorben. Aber bei ihm war die Hebamme auch nämlich schuld. Ja. Ich habe nochmal entschlossen, das Game nochmal neu zu starten. Aus Gründen, weil das schon so lange her ist bei mir.
A starbase on the very edge of Federation space. Long way from home now.
Hier, wenn ich hier aus dem Fenster immer schaue, muss ich immer dran... Oh, Entschuldigung. Immer wenn ich hier aus dem Fenster schaue, muss ich immer an die eine Folge mich zurückerinnern von Captain Archer, wo er in die Zukunft geholt wird. Wo er dann den Planetenkrieg miterlebt. Was, ja, nicht Planetenkrieg, Weltkrieg ist auch jetzt die falsche Aussage. Aber das Äquivalent vom Weltkrieg, nur halt zwischen den verschiedenen Völkern im Universum. Ja.
Commander? I'm not usually such a nervous wreck, by the way. I actually did well at the Academy.
Oh yeah?
Maybe you've heard of the Torvalin test?
Sounds familiar.
It's a tactical simulator that makes the Kobayashi Maru look like a picnic on Pintaris 5. Anyway, I finished in the top 20. Not just in my class. I mean, all time. In the history of the Academy. So... there's that.
Simulations are great for training, but they're not quite the same as the real thing.
That's fair. I guess I'm about to find out.
Ja. Star Trek und ich können einfach zusammen.
Please place your hand here. Hold it there for a few seconds. Welcome, Commander Rydek.
Wait, you're Jara Rydek? You absolutely crushed the Torvalin test. You finished in what, like the top 3?
That would be me.
Now I'm really... It's an honor to meet you, Commander. Sorry, I didn't realize before. I just came off the shuttle and was glad to be on solid ground.
The pleasure is mine, Ensign.
Paul Calloway.
Good to meet you.
I believe Commander Ermot is expecting you. He's in the concourse just ahead.
See you on the Resolute.
Ich würde es so richtig toll finden, wenn wir irgendwann so in 200-300 Jahren vielleicht selbst so eine vereinigte Föderation draußen im Weltraum hätten oder sowas in dieser Art und Weise. Das wäre toll. Oh. So eine Zukunft würde ich mir wünschen für die Menschheit, weißt? Kein Weltkrieg, kein Hunger, kein... Boah. Die Zukunft wird top. Weißt? Verschiedene Spezies, wir leben dann friedlich. Ja. Dass es dann so vereinzelte Idioten dann noch gibt, weil es die dann noch versuchen, die Macht an sich zu ergreifen, das ist mir schon klar. Aber weil das wirst du niemals rauskriegen. Aber so im Großen und Ganzen, dass dann die Menschheit an einem Strang zieht für diesen Grundgedanken. Heißt, das wäre schon toll.
Starbase 128 has 4 docks.
Weil dass die Menschheit einiges erreichen kann, das hat sie in der Vergangenheit schon ein paar Mal bewiesen. Und das stellt euch mal vor, wir würden alle an einem Strang ziehen. Boah.
Excuse me, have you seen a Bolian around here?
Yes, sir. Right back there, near the replicator.
Ah, there he is. Thank you.
Happy to help, Commander.
Oh, ich sehe gerade, dass ihr wiederum nichts sieht. Moment. Monitoraufnahme. So, ich hoffe, jetzt klappt es besser. Jetzt warte ich gerade hier ein paar Sekunden. Ja, kann man schauen. Ja, jetzt scheint gleich besser zu klappen. Tut mir leid, war das Spiel lässt sich unglaublich schwer abfilmen.
Excuse me.
Welcome to the edge of the galaxy, Commander Rydek. I'm Commander Jan Ermot, Operations Officer on the Resolute. Commander? I hope there wasn't too much trouble getting here. This storm isn't making anything easy for us right now. I know conditions are less than ideal at the moment.
It takes more than a little turbulence to rattle me.
I'm sure that's the case. We're grateful you were able to come fill our first officer vacancy at such short notice. From everything I've read and everything I've heard, we're lucky you were available to us. Coming from a premier starship and all. To our little research vessel.
What exactly have you heard about me?
First in your class at the Academy. Received the Starfleet Award of Valor during the Dominion War. Most recently, Tactical Officer and Chief of Security on the USS Endeavor.
You've done your homework?
Like I said, we're very lucky.
Ist schon ein schönes Schiff, ne?
The USS Resolute. She may not look like much compared to the bigger ships, but as far as science vessels go, she can more than hold her own. And she doesn't look so bad considering 6 months ago she was nearly cracked in half venting plasma fighting for her life.
It was an accident?
The equipment malfunctioned, An accident suggests fault, but no one's to blame. It was a planned test, but the warp core was pushed beyond its limits. It destabilized the dilithium, there was a runaway reaction, and the warp bubble deformed. We thought we could reach a higher resonant frequency, but it was more than she could handle. Cost us our first officer and 22 of our crew. At the end of the day, we're all responsible for each other.
To have lost so many lives. That's a high price to pay.
Too high by any estimation. But there's nothing that can be done about it now except get back to work. And make sure it never happens again. Listen. I realize you've known Captain Solana for quite some time. And I'm sure you're ready to bring your best. But I should warn you that when the captain announced you would be the new first officer, there were those who felt it was a mistake. That he should have promoted from within. So you might want to tread lightly at first. Until they come to value your contributions as much as he does.
Thank you. Always good to have a sense for what you're walking into.
I just thought you ought to know.
I appreciate it.
Starfleet has assigned us a high-priority mission to the
Vielen
hotel
Dank.
region. I'll let the captain brief you on board. I know he's eager to see you.
Will we be mission ready in time?
We have every intention. The crew has been working around the clock to get the ship ready. There's still so much to do.
Vielen Dank, mein Schatz.
Stuck. I got just the thing.
Sieht ganz schön kaputt aus und ziemlich durchgebrannt.
Is that?
I thought the thing was totally fried. Nice work, Carter.
Nothing to it, Neely.
And not a moment too soon. The boss wants us down in engineering. Like, now.
Ja, definitiv.
Engineering.
I heard the new XO just arrived. Won't be long before we get underway. I just hope whatever Chovak called us down for it's something good.
Oh, Chubak ist ja ein vulkanischer
Rather not end up
Ding.
degaussing plasma manifolds. Hanging upside down makes me queasy.
What's the matter, Neely? Afraid of a little hard work?
A little hard work? Really? A little? 6 months of putting this ship back together is a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and here we are. Just about ready to go.
So, gehen wir
Here
hier.
before.
Lieutenant Commander Chovak.
We were just looking for you, Commander.
Petty Officers Edsalar, Diaz. I was beginning to think you would be late. We are all hands on deck right now, which means if you are not at your post at the appointed time, I do not have someone to replace you. A point I have been forced to make to Petty Officer Edsalar on repeated occasions.
Apologies for the delay, Commander.
I do not want your apologies. Simply see to it that it does not happen again.
So, I don't suppose you wanted us down here to check in before we go off duty?
Equip yourselves in EV suits to work on the exterior of the hull. I need you to tune the structural integrity field for optimal performance. The subspace distortions and ionic interference we are experiencing are preventing the proper calibration. But this ship must be ready to depart shortly, despite the storm. The precise nature of these disturbances are not fully understood. But many systems have been affected by the wide band of emissive activity.
How concerned should we be about the storm? Are you worried?
Vulcans do not worry. We calculate the variables and take appropriate precautions to mitigate the risk. Right now, that entails making critical preparations, because long-range sensors show that these disturbances will be more severe at our destination, the Hotari system. You have your orders. Do not delay.
Yes, Commander
Roger that.
Chovak.
Okay.
All hands on deck.
Vulkanier halt, ne?
What's that?
All hands on deck. That's what Chovak said. You know what that means? It means this ship isn't ready to go out and the brass know it. So they're throwing every warm body at it. And they're going to leave on schedule. Consequences be damned.
Won't get an argument from me, Nelly. Sure seems like everyone's still scrambling.
And I get it. When has a relaunch ever gone off without a hitch? But this isn't just any old refit or any old relaunch.
Oh, whoa. Excuse me.
A lot of new faces coming on board. It's gotta be tough coming as a replacement. That's for sure.
They seem all right. Something that happened 6 months ago while they were off on another ship? Well, that's nothing to hold against them.
Yeah, you're right. I guess getting a little new blood on board doesn't hurt. Hold on. Now there's an old face I didn't expect to see again. Hey, Miranda!
You weren't gonna leave without me, were you?
Miranda, you're here?
We thought you were staying on the Adirondack.
Transfer came in at the last minute, so I figured I'd settle on this bucket of bolts.
Meinst du das Sturm
Looks like
heißt
you got it
du?
back together pretty nicely. I wasn't sure what to expect.
Das Sturm.
I'm gonna take the high road here, pretend you didn't say that, and welcome you aboard.
Weil wenn du das meinst, was ist
He's a
dann
better
vereinigt da
diplomat than I
drin?
am.
He still owes me a bottle of Saurian brandy. Don't think I forgot.
Oh yeah, it's coming back to me now.
Maybe Carter can rustle up that bottle and we can give you a proper welcome. As soon as we wrap up this quick little spacewalk.
Here, let me help you.
Thanks.
So what's the word? Are you back in the security rotation?
Yep. Still running with the usual suspects.
Whoa.
Good to go. See you on the other side.
Activating magnetic souls.
Achso, ich muss mit dem Monster hin. Tja, halten Sie Ihre Kajüte sauber, würde ich mal behaupten.
Have you never gets old.
Let's go.
Okay. Muss ja am Sonntag eigentlich fahren, der Adi? Ja, normalerweise ist ja am Sonntag Fahrverbot. Da müsst ihr rein theoretisch frei haben. Vorausgesetzt, ihr fährt keine verderbliche Ware.
Captain Solano should be here momentarily. You'll have to forgive me, I don't know much about Kobleods. But my understanding is you need a steady supply of duridium to keep your cell structure stabilized, or bad things start to happen. And we have plenty of duridium in sickbay. So
Aber ich würde mich freuen, wenn er da ist. Oder wenn er
Feel free to
kommt.
make yourself at home. And help yourself to whatever you like from the replicator.
In dem eigentlichen Star Trek sind die Kopliaden eigentlich nur in einer Folge aufgeführt worden, und zwar in Star Trek Voyager. Tatsächlich. Dort kamen die Kopliaden das erste Mal vor.
Just a sip of something. Coffee. Perfect temperature. Don't know how they do it.
Hey! Da war doch mehr als ein Schluck drin.
Jara Rydek. Last time I saw you, it was graduation from the academy. You'd already secured one of the most prestigious assignments possible. And you were burning with enough ambition to fuel 7 trips around the Necrid Expanse.
It's good to see you again, Captain.
I could not be happier to have you on the Resolute. The only regret is that we couldn't provide you with a warmer welcome. The arrival of a first officer to her new ship deserves a bit of fanfare. But, unfortunately, we've had our hands full with the refit.
You can spare me the pomp and circumstance. There's plenty of work to be done without all that.
You always had a work ethic like nothing I'd ever seen. That's just what this ship needs at the moment. As I'm sure you've heard, we've had a rough go of it these last 6 months. The ship suffered some damage, but not nearly as much as the crew.
You'll have to forgive me. I don't really know the details.
Starfleet has been kind enough to keep the story contained, probably because they want to protect me. But I don't mind telling you. We were on the verge of a major scientific breakthrough. A quantum leap forward in warp core technology. 10,000 teradynes per second. The ability to travel at a sustained rate of speed longer and faster than we ever dreamed. What would have been the crowning achievement of my career. Right there. Within our grasp. Until it all went so horribly wrong. We pushed her too hard, and a warp core malfunction overloaded the system, creating a pressure gradient way beyond what the ship can handle. It was heartbreaking. We lost some of our best people. As captain, I have to take full responsibility. It was my decision to make, and I have to live with the consequences.
We all know the risks when we sign up. There are no guarantees. As much as we tell ourselves otherwise.
True. But as captain, my job is to mitigate and manage the risks as much as possible. And that's where I failed. In my defense, I will say, we might have avoided the whole ordeal if my senior staff had been willing to trust me. There was a lot of pushback from my former XO, and I think that cost me his confidence. I don't want you to pull any punches. Certainly not on my account. But once we decide on a course of action, I need everyone to fully commit to the mission. Anything short of that just won't work. And that's when things start to go sideways.
And what happens if they don't?
There's a chain of command for a reason. We all have our orders.
That's true. Everyone on this ship should know that.
Sometimes the occasional reminder doesn't hurt. Look, I'll be blunt. We can't afford another mistake. Or at least I can't. I feel like my career is hanging in the balance here. We need a win. Something to restore the crew's confidence.
I understand.
On a more positive note, Starfleet has tasked us with what they're calling a mission of the highest priority. Escorting a senior diplomat to Hotari space. Two previously peaceful and otherwise non-aggressive civilizations now find themselves on the brink of all-out war.
So it's a peacekeeping mission.
I see it as a golden opportunity to not only prove what the Resolute and her crew are truly capable of, but also a mission for which we're uniquely qualified. This ionic storm.
Das weiß ich nicht. Dafür kenne ich mich in Astrophysik zu wenig aus.
Total anomaly like nothing we've seen before. And you'll never guess where it leads.
Hotari.
Exactly. Very nearly in the precise location where we're headed. Where I imagine the interference will be exponentially greater. But the diplomat will brief us on the
Aber im Grundprinzip sind es ja Energiespitzen und Blitze und UKG, und damit die, glaube ich, sich aussehen können, brauchen sie, glaube ich, Sauerstoff, und das im Weltraum gibt es ja keinen Sauerstoff. Ich glaube, dass da dann im Weltraum so ein Gewittersturm gibt, glaube ich, eher weniger daran.
What is it?
If after serving as my first officer, you don't one day find yourself with a ship of your own, then I will consider it my personal failure. When that might happen is entirely up to you. But it goes without saying, you have my full support.
Thank you, but I feel like I still have so much to learn.
You'll have plenty of opportunity. And if you're willing to put in the work, I'll do everything in my power to help you along the way. Come, let me introduce you to the crew. Everyone, if I could have your attention for a moment. I'd like to introduce Commander Jara Rydek, our new first officer. Some quick introductions. This is Lieutenant Handar, our helmsman, one of the best in the business.
One of?
Well, what he lacks in humility, he more than makes up for in ability.
A pleasure to meet you, Commander.
Likewise.
Next, we have Commander Westbrook, our Chief Science Officer. I've come to rely on his expert counsel on a regular basis.
Pleasure.
Commander Rydek, it is such an honor to meet you.
This is our tactical officer, Lieutenant Bedrosian, who's been looking forward to meeting you for about as long as I can remember.
I've been following your career for quite some time. And I look forward to learning as much as I can from you.
If anything, the honor is mine.
Well, I have to admit, one of the reasons I've followed your career is because you're part Kobliad, because of what you've overcome. Starfleet stands up for people who can't defend themselves, and you were one of those people once. But since then, you've done so much to protect others who need it. I really admire that. So, you've been something of an inspiration to me. Not that I've done anything close to what you've done.
That's very kind of you to say, but enough about me. We have a lot of work to do.
Oh, yes, of course.
And then, of course, you've already met Commander Ermont. Please, do everything you can to make Commander Rydek feel at home here. I'll be on the starbase. Have an urgent meeting with the starbase commander to get our authorization to get underway. If they drag their feet any longer, we won't make our rendezvous. The bridge is yours.
Vielen Dank. Hol den Sekt raus, Mädels. Ah, Gott.
Impressive range of view.
Aber stell dir mal vor, wir hätten so ein Fenster, wo so ein Bildschirm integriert wäre, weißt? Einfach mal so ein riesen Fenster.
Operations. Staffing, supplies. There's a lot to keep track of on a starship. Good thing we have Commander Ermont.
Commander, Chief Engineer Chovak needs to lower the structural integrity field. He's sent a crew out to recalibrate the emitters in response to the danger posed by the storm. We just need your go-ahead.
Permission granted.
Lowering structural integrity field, now.
Entering maintenance mode. Condition blue.
The storm is getting worse.
Looks like they turned off the SIF.
Great. Let's get to that emitter. Every time we're out here, I half expect to see her in pieces again.
She's still got some scars on her. It adds character.
When I joined Starfleet, all I wanted was a ride out of town. But this isn't exactly how I pictured it.
On the outside of the ship?
No. Sometimes it feels like we're just part of the machine.
Ah, das steht auf dem Kopf. Ah, ja.
More than that? I mean, Starfleet is noble and all, but it's still a machine. A massive, massive machine.
Yeah.
Ich weiß nicht, ob mir dabei jetzt schlecht werden würde.
Starfleet's an open door. We just have to walk through it.
Wenn ich dann auf den Kopf laufen müsste. Weil im Grundprinzip laufen ja Kopf über. Ja, definitiv.
Just because I'm cranking a hyperspanner up in a Jeffries tube today doesn't mean that's all I'll ever be.
Allgemein hat Star Trek immer sehr schöne Kulissen.
Diaz to Commander Chovak. We are at the SIF emitter.
Acknowledged. You may proceed with the recalibration.
Beginning recalibration.
Too much action and harmonics will deflect the alignment. Light touch, Carter.
Hm.
Looks good. That wasn't so hard.
Rot blinkend sieht niemals gut aus.
Commander Westbrook, right? Chief Science Officer.
You remembered my name and my rank. Impressive. Yes, I am the Chief Science Officer, and I have the dubious honor of being the most senior officer on this bridge, at least in I know this ship inside and out. Better than just about anyone.
A very impressive list of credentials.
This is a research and discovery ship, first and foremost. Now with a former tactical officer as its new first officer. I'm curious, though. A Kobliad, or half in your case, is an odd choice for first officer, given your vulnerable condition and all. But if, as an example, we found ourselves in a hostile situation, and you were suddenly incapacitated because you needed an infusion, what would happen then? You'd leave Captain Solano without an XO. Granted, that would be a worst-case scenario, but not outside the realm of possibility.
That's very kind of you to be concerned about my well-being. But you don't need to trouble yourself on my account. I'll be fine.
Well, I wouldn't say I was concerned, just curious, that's all. Listen, can I be blunt, Commander?
I see no reason to stop now.
Commander Sutherland, your predecessor, was one of the best first officers in all of Starfleet. His record was impeccable and his reputation was without equal. I mean no disrespect, but the shoes you're stepping into are almost impossible to fill. He was loved by the crew. And he was one of my closest friends. So I can only hope that you'll live up to expectations.
Mr. Westbrook, if you have some kind of problem with me, and you just met me so it has nothing to do with me, you're gonna have to figure out how to get over it. Because I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere. Do you read me?
Loud and clear. I'll stick to science. That is what this ship is for.
Very well.
Seeing as Captain Solano is on the starbase, let me give you an update on this ion storm we're flying into. It's unusual, unlike anything I've ever seen. At the moment, I can't tell you if the Resolute will shrug it off or if we're putting ourselves at risk. However, if we learn more about its patterns, its nature, we can come up with a scientific countermeasure. Just a moment.
We've got a massive energy wave inbound.
On screen.
Tracing its trajectory.
Starbase docking clamps are holding.
The storm's emissions are fluctuating, coming in waves. And if my projections are right, we're about to get hit by a wideband burst of ionic energy, like a tsunami.
I'm reading power abnormality.
Red alert!
Aye. Evacuating main gangway and retracting.
Putting sensor visualization on screen.
With the structural integrity field shut down, we can't take a direct hit.
Time to impact. 1 minute.
Shield systems are severely impacted. We have limited protection.
I need every available solution. What are our options?
We can weaken the impact of the storm with a deflector pulse.
There's a better way.
I'm sending all auxiliary power to the deflector dish.
Send the aux power to the shields. We can't reactivate the entire shield bubble, but it's a directional threat. So we can orient all we have towards the wave. You have to believe me.
We only get one shot at this. We can't afford to get it wrong.
That's right, which is why we need to send power to our shields.
Commander Westbrook, use the deflector dish.
Already working on it. Optimal timing displayed. It's going to be tight.
Good. Send the pulse on my command. Now!
Ah, Mist.
Commander Westbrook, use the deflector dish.
Already working on it. Optimal timing displayed. It's going to be tight.
Good. Send the pulse on my command. Now.
We got it! This is it!
All hands, brace for impact.
What happened?
We have experienced a surge of radiation.
Oh, you don't say.
This radiation supercharged the plasma, forcing it to backflush through the system and creating a dangerous imbalance.
It will blow out every primary system on the ship.
Just tell us where you need us.
I need you to traverse the hull to the access port to recalibrate the port nacelle plasma regulator.
We've reached the first access point.
Understood. Do you see the override for the level 1 failsafe circuits?
That must be.
Affirmative.
Engage the override. It should allow us to stop the EPS flow to the warp engine without triggering an automatic core shutdown.
Failsafe override engaged.
Are you sure? I am registering some crosstalk in the bypass circuit.
We need to route the signals so they don't interfere with each other.
Diaz to Resolute. The failsafes are temporarily disabled. Moving on to the EPS regulator.
Heads up, Carter.
What is that?
One of the discharges coalesced.
It's coming right toward us. I'm gonna try to disrupt it with my phaser.
So we gotta climb up the pylon. Not that there's really an up, but, you know.
Oh nein! Es läuft Zeitröhre ab.
We're almost to the regulator.
We're at the regulator. Opening the access panel.
I am now halting the EPS flow to the port nacelle. We have little time before it causes an overload in the engine. You must work efficiently.
Ja, das war immer schon da so die Problematik in Star Trek. Oder allgemein bei Science-Fiction-Filmen. Da brauchst du nur mal die explodierenden Raumschiffe mal zu sehen. Die tun ja mit viel Trara ja dann abbrennen, explodieren. Und, ja, obwohl das eigentlich im Weltraum absoluter Schwachsinn ist. Die würden dann nur mit viel Krach dann auseinanderbrechen, wenn das so ist.
EPS lines to the port warp engine are back in balance. Almost done. Once I cycle the manifold nozzles, Chobot.
Papa! Das gibt eine Kratzer.
Diaz to bridge. We just lost the docking clamp. We've got a lot of debris coming down. All vibrations, too. We can't finish the EPS regulation in these conditions. Please advise.
We have to release the ship from that other docking clamp or the hull will be ripped apart.
There's a problem. The clamps are supposed to disengage automatically in an emergency, but it's not working.
Not working.
What are our options?
The docking clamps are fitted with exploding bolts for an emergency release.
We've got crew out there. That'd be like setting off a bomb next to them.
Maybe there's another way.
Starbase is hailing us.
Put him through.
Resolute, the remaining mooring arm is failing. You need to disengage from the starbase now. The damage to the station will be catastrophic.
The docking clamp isn't functioning. We're exploring our options.
The option is to detonate the emergency release.
Commander, hear me out. Reverse the polarity of the hull, which theoretically will repel the docking clamps.
And repel the engineering crew right off the hull into the storm.
This is Captain Solano. Put me on screen.
Go ahead. Captain, we have a situation.
Commander, what are you doing? Blow the bolts on the docking clamp.
The captain doesn't know the whole story.
I'm giving you an order. Jara?
Captain, you brought me here because you trusted me. Can you trust me now?
You better be sure you make the right decision.
The captain made himself quite clear.
They're gonna get hammered with debris out there. Reverse the polarity.
There is protocol.
And there are lives.
Starbase, stand by. We're gonna flip hull polarity to disengage the clamps.
Yes, Commander.
Repair crew, this is Acting Captain Jara Rydek. Be advised, we are going to reverse hull polarity to free us from the remaining docking clamp. Tether yourself and deactivate your boots on my mark.
Understood.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mark!
Grab my hand! I got you.
Thank you.
Plasma imbalance is reaching critical condition. We are moments from primary system failure.
I got it.
Und lecker. In Portion kommt das weiß jetzt nicht. Du meinst, dass eher zusammengedrückt wird? Autsch. Naja, zusammengedrückt eher nicht, dafür müsste ja für eine Implosion, du meinst wahrscheinlich Implosion, dazu müsste eher Druck von außen da sein, was eher im Weltraum nicht der Fall ist. Aber ich will jetzt gerade mal kurz auf die Toilette gehen, ich bin gleich nochmal da. So, hier bin ich wieder. So. Ach nein. Aber das sind so Fragen, die könnte man Harald Lesch fragen.
Triggering a substantial electromagnetic arc if you approach the main hull the way you came.
Commander, the way we came is the nearest airlock.
There's an auxiliary hatch near you on the far end of the pylon. You must bring Miss Edselar there to access the interior.
Roger that. We're going there now.
Weil der ist ja Astrophysiker. Der kennt sich in diesem Fall viel besser aus als ich mit meinem Laienwissen.
I'm at the auxiliary hatch.
You go first.
What?
Let me save your neck this time. No time to fight me on this. Get in there.
Not on your life.
Let's not let it come down to that.
Das ist so ein Fusionsprozess.
We made it.
They're safe, bringing the SIF fully online.
Do it.
Nilly.
I'm good. Help me with him.
Let's get this off. Medical. Got one wounded at my location. Carter. You don't look so good.
Ja, ich weiß, was du meinst.
You gotta be more careful.
Aber da kannst du, das gleiche kannst du dich dann auch fragen mit den roten Sternen, rote Zwergsterne, USW etc. Aber heißt das hier das gleiche in grün.
Great.
Weil rote Zwergsterne sind ja Todessterne, Sonnen. Gute Sonnen.
EPS flow is back to nominal levels. The SIF is back up.
How does this affect mission readiness, Mr. Ermott?
Releasing the docking clamps using hull polarity minimized damage to the Resolute. We'll have some last-minute repairs to make, but if we reapportion some of the staff, we can make our departure on time. As of now, however, we are successfully moored to the station.
Good to hear. Send updates to my ready room. Commander Rydek, with me. You disobeyed my orders. Well?
Respectfully, Captain, I made the right choice given the information
You
I had.
disobeyed my orders! And not just in front of the bridge crew, but the Starbase staff as well. That's going to get around. My name's already tarnished around the fleet. But what is it going to do to my credibility on this ship? From the top to the bottom. Bridge to lower decks.
Maybe I shouldn't have disobeyed a direct order, but you were wrong. You weren't on board, and you didn't have all the information. So I made the right decision for the ship. If you're worried about your credibility, put your ego aside and trust your crew. Trust me.
You might have won some fans on the bridge with that stunt, but not everyone. Lieutenant Commander Chovak has already bent my ear.
I'm sure he doesn't take it personally. He'll get over it in time.
Mr. Chovak is more complicated than he would want to admit. I guess we all are. And, if I'm being honest, I'm not sure what I would have done in the moment either. You never really know if you weren't in those shoes. So, let's just boil it down to, you did what you had to.
Thank you for understanding, sir. I'm sure no one knows the burden of command as well as you do.
I'm sure you will, someday. Despite it all, we got our final Starfleet clearance to depart. So if you'll fetch Mr. Ermont, we'll knock out the final details of any outstanding repairs, and we'll set out for Hotari.
Yes, sir. All departments reporting full mission readiness. We've got our full complement on board.
This is my favorite moment, right now.
The start of a new mission is always full of possibility.
The Orion Syndicate could sell it as a drug.
Don't let the Admiralty hear you say
that. Captain on the bridge.
Sit, everyone. You all know, I'm not big on speeches. We're embarking on the first mission since our refit. Let's make it a good one. Disengage docking clamps.
Docking clamps released.
Thrusters ahead, Mr. Handar.
So richtig die 80er Star Trek Musik. Yay!
That should do it. Set a course for the Hotari system. Prepare to go to Warp 8.
Aye, Captain.
You know what? You take this one.
Me? Engage.
Was meinst du denn, was mir genau gefällt? Star Trek oder... Meinst du Star Trek oder meinst du Astrophysik?
Whoa. Careful.
Thank you. I'm fine. Really,
You don't look fine.
Oh, wir brauchen eine Infusion.
I have to get to sickbay.
Go.
Genau.
Help me get her inside.
Well, that was quite a scare. A few minutes more and it would have been one of the shortest tenures on record for a first officer.
Is that the engineer that was out on the hull?
That storm did a real number on him. He'll live. Just needs rest. You should worry about yourself. Your duridium levels got dangerously low and destabilized your cell structure.
This is definitely one of the more memorable first days I can think of.
My name is Dr. Aram Duval, Chief Medical Officer. To be honest, I've never met a Kobliad before. You're...
rare. I know.
I was going to say special. Your people's numbers have dwindled, despite the Federation's efforts to find a more readily available alternative to the duridium you need to survive. Yet you joined Starfleet and managed to thrive. I imagine the responsibility must be overwhelming. Maybe even a burden at times.
I don't like the attention it brings. Being treated differently than everyone else.
But you are different. That's not something you can change.
True. But sometimes it makes it even more difficult than it already is.
And don't worry, I won't treat you like a science experiment. I just do the science and leave the experiments to Solano.
You don't agree with his methods?
I don't agree with his definition of acceptable risks. Not when the lives of your crew are at stake. My professional opinion is that the accident took a toll. More than he's willing to admit. He's overstressed, operating in the pressure of his own mind. Which is never a good headspace when the lives of your crew are at stake. What concerns me is that now he's even further away from the thing he's been chasing his entire career. Breakthrough discovery. The major innovation. Something he can put his name on. The more the time passes and the further out of reach it gets, the more risk he'll be willing to take.
I think after what happened, Captain Solano's learned his lesson. And whatever ambition he once had is on hold for a while.
He may say that, but we'll see what happens. I have to give you credit for what happened on the bridge. It took guts to defy a direct order.
Huh. I guess word travels fast around here.
It's a small ship, and everyone's curious about the new XO. Fortunately, your cell structure is almost completely stabilized. And I'll spare us both the lecture, but I do feel it's my responsibility to remind you, without regular infusions of duridium, you will not live. It's as simple as that.
Understood.
Then, my work here is done.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be lurking outside of sickbay. I didn't want to intrude, so it felt more appropriate to wait out here. We were all worried about you. Or I should say I was. I wasn't sure what was happening at first, but then I realized it was your condition.
I don't want anyone to worry about me. I'm gonna be just fine. This is part of who I am, but I've never let it define me.
I get that now. And I promise I'll try not to let being such a jerk define me either. You trusted my intuition earlier, with the deflector pulse. I felt I should thank you for that.
Well, thank you for coming. Even though you didn't have to.
I wanted to.
Now, Carter, the emissions that gave you that burn are quite unusual, like everything else that goes with this storm. That's a combination of hyronolin and lectrazine to counter the radiation effects. That should help speed your healing. She's come by a couple of times to see you already. Be brief.
It's good to see you awake again. I was starting to get worried. Not that you aren't in good hands with Dr. Duval. You did take one hell of a shot, though.
Ah, come on. You know you can't get rid of me that easy.
Don't push me, Diaz. You do not want to see me try.
No, nope. I am not getting on your bad side.
I am a formidable enemy. Billy was looking in on you too, by the way. But since it's just us right now, I had a chance to think about this while I was away. And I thought it was important that I just come out and tell you, instead of tiptoeing around it.
Now, this is just a guess, but you like me. Is that what this is?
How'd you know? Must have been pretty obvious. Which is funny, because it kinda came out of nowhere for me, at first.
You didn't exactly hide it.
I wasn't exactly trying to hide it. But since it's that obvious, we've been really good friends for a long time. I want to see if there's more between us than just being friends.
Are you sure about this?
They're my feelings. Of course I'm sure.
Well, I just mean, seeing me in here, after we almost got killed out on the hull.
I felt this way before that, Carter. I like you. And I think there could be something more for us. So, what do you say?
That's a lot to think about.
I know it is.
So, maybe I should think it over.
Oh, yeah, take as long as you need. I get it. But, don't leave me hanging.
Sorry to interrupt. The patient needs to rest, if he wants to get back to his old self.
Of course. Get better. And while you're resting up, think about what we talked about.
Ich muss auch gleich noch mal runter in den Keller und gleich noch ein bisschen in den Haushalt machen, gell, Mädels? Das heißt, ich muss den Stream gleich wieder unterbrechen. So, dann würde ich mal an dieser Stelle den Stream nochmal unterbrechen, weil ich noch meine Haushaltung KKG machen muss. Ich gucke vielleicht, dass ich vielleicht heute nochmal eventuell online komme. Ich weiß noch nicht so genau. Und ja, wir sehen uns auf jeden Fall beim nächsten Mal wieder. Bis dahin. Ciao, ciao.